Welcome everyone to Discourse. Today we're going to be discussing The Neighbors by MC Ryder. So this is a short story that ties in with the Dark series. It ties in with the book specifically, All I See Are Dark Clouds. It's a short story, still fantasy, but a little more adult, which I kind of like. And it's told in the second person narrative.
And the main character here is Zoe.
I know. I struggled a lot with, is it Zoe or Zoe? I liked both. I feel like Zoe's kind of cool. It gives her like a cool edge to it. So I'm kind of hoping it's Zoe.
So it's not too deep into vampires and werewolves, right, as we're used to in the other books. Because this is more of a side story where we have Zoe who, she's like a night nurse who works in the...
So maternity ward.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we get to know how she is, which at first she seemed to be like a terrible person.
I know.
Just her attitude, and she has like road rage, and like when she's at work, she's, I'm going to take care of you. Let's hold your hand. Like, you'll be fine. The baby's fine. This is what you do. She gives advice. And then she moves on. Like, she's so used to it, it kind of feels like she's emotionless.
Like she's just going through the motions. I feel like, though, as a nurse, because she's a nurse, with that comes a lot of like responsibility and, I mean, emotionally too. It's emotionally draining. They typically work really long hours. And then especially like maternity ward, like these are new mothers or, mothers with already one or two kids, 10 kids, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of stress there and a lot of emotion. And I feel like for her, she knows the drill and she's just going through the motions and trying to do what's best for the person. And she shows like some heart and things like that, but she knows like business first. Like, I need to make sure you're healthy and the baby's healthy and everybody is good. Mm-hmm. I feel like she does kind of come across as like a little bit...
like dark-hearted or devoid of emotion.
A little cold, but I think it's with the best intentions.
Yeah, because in her job, she can't stress too much, and this happened, that happened. Right. Like, no, I gotta keep going. Like, babies don't wait. When they're ready, they're ready.
Yeah, and she's gotta keep a level head, a cool head. She can't just be like her emotions all over the place. And
like, it talks about everything about her and her home life. She lives on her own, and she's very structured. She wakes up, she has this, and that. Then she cleans this and this and that. Then she goes out for a run. Yeah,
she definitely has like her routine. So she's single. She lives on her own. She has like no friends except one person who I think is just so lovely. She has one friend, that's Anne. And she is an older woman. She's a more mature woman.
They met when elementary school, 4th grade.
Yeah, that she was her teacher, which is so freaking cute. And they've kind of kept in touch because Zoe never really had a really great relationship with her mother. And Anne was kind of like that step-in, right? She kind of took over that motherly figure for her. And she really helped her and took care of her emotionally, I think. Mm-hmm. And so she kind of was like, Anne, you're it. You're my only friend. You're basically like my mom. Like, this is great. You're all I need in life. It almost, to me, kind of seems like an OCD thing, but she's very structured, like you said. And then she goes out for runs. And, okay, this girl... she is super 100% brave, at least braver than I am. She goes out running at nighttime alone in the dark with just her to keep her, to defend herself.
So Anne's always telling her, like, I'm worried about you, going out late, running alone. She tells Anne, I have a mean mouth and I got long natural nails. Like, I'll be fine.
Dude, that's what she goes out to defend herself with. Just some crazy talents. I imagine her having like this Wolverine-esque type of talents, just ready to cut anybody open who tries to attack her on her run.
These are natural, and I'm not afraid to use them.
Yeah.
The bleep, 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 bleep. Oh no, she's crazy. And they leave her alone. So.
But they do say that, right? Act crazy and they'll just leave you alone. If you're crazier than them, they just step on back. Yeah, I definitely feel like for the lack of relationship she has with her mom, that it kind of toughened her up. Like, at first she comes across as really cold-hearted, but then you kind of start to understand, like, well, these are the reasons why, and it makes sense, right? You're like, okay, yeah, she is just tougher on the, on her exterior, interior, both, and she can take care of herself, right?
Yeah, and she's been on her own probably as a kid because her mom seemed to never be there. So she's used to being on her own. Yeah. She depends on no one. She shares that with everyone. That's why she's not looking for a dude or anyone.
Right.
She's just doing her thing.
Right.
But then, as the title says, some neighbors move in, and then her whole world changes.
Right, I know. With the title, because it's so different from all the others in the series, I kind of was like, are we going into like some sort of like horror type of situation? Because that's what it reminded me of, like The Neighbors, right? I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah, it even starts off weird. Like, it's like the neighbor that's working out and you go up there and you're like, hey, can you stop that racket? And then the next day you're playing music too loud and they come down. I was like, you're being too loud. Be like respectful.
I loved it. I was like, whoa, where are we going with this? It was pretty funny.
It reminded us when we had our own apartment.
Yeah, like real life stuff. I was like, dude, there's always that one neighbor.
And then the other neighbor that's always watching, like, what's going on out there? It's like, mind your own business. Everything's fine. So it starts off like that and it slowly builds up, like, which I like. It doesn't just jump into, oh, they're in a relationship now, or, oh, she fell in love at first sight. Like, no, it's natural, everyday stuff with neighbors.
Yeah, natural evolution. Yeah.
So it's these two brothers.
Jensen and
Terrence.
Jensen and Terrence. And they are rogue vampires from Vladimir's army.
So we come to find out, so does she. They're vampires when they protect her.
On one of her nightly runs.
It was after her nightly run.
Oh, it was after the nightly run, coming back home.
She gets attacked.
Yeah, she gets attacked by some dude who is, like, obviously stalking her. And she gets saved by the neighbors.
And they look gruesome, and they got fangs, and she's like, what's going on? So she's scared of this dude that tried to attack her, and she's scared of this other dude that's protecting her, trying to eat this other dude. And then the dude's brother, we find out they're brothers, is back there also trying to hold the brother back from eating this dude. And she's like, oh my god, what's going on? So it's kind of like a weird situation. And
then as time goes on, they start to get to know each other more, and they start to connect on a lot of different levels. And then they kind of sort of come into like a... in her apartment.
Both ways.
Because they didn't want to leave her alone, right?
They didn't want to leave her alone, so they protect her. But at the same time, it's like an open door policy on their part. Like, they don't need a bed. Vampires don't sleep. So, and they're like, you can't sleep on our couch because we watch TV all day. We got nothing else to do. So they got her like an air mattress.
I know, yeah.
She goes there, which at first she's like, what the heck am I doing? Like, this is horrible. But deep down she's like, but I feel safe around them. It's comfortable. It's good talking to people. Like, she was always on her own, so she didn't realize it's always good to have someone around just to relate to. And
But I think also it's just because you always have that hard time in life connecting with certain people. And I feel like once you meet your people, it's like, everything starts to kind of click into place, right? For her, it's like a very unnatural situation. Like, they're vampires, right? And she's a human, but they're her people. So, like, I think for her, like, internally, she's probably struggling with, like, why do I feel so safe around these, like, quote-unquote, monsters? Oh, and then that kind of leads into the theme, right? Of, like, this ties in with all I see are dark clouds. The quote comes up, even on the darkest of nights, the sun still rises.
That's a common theme in all the books, in this series. Yeah. And it kind of goes with the vampire status and the way they're always seen as evil and dark. But with this quote, like, even in the darkest of nights, the sun rises, like, there's always good that comes out of it. Like, it's not always evil. Sometimes their intentions are bright and
pure. Yeah, so I feel like maybe that's kind of what she was feeling internally. Like, there has to be some goodness to them because they did save me, for one. And also, like, they haven't killed me yet.
And I guess you could kind of say they're refugees because they left the war to escape from... Yeah. Even though they were on
the
bad side, they escaped it because in their hearts they're good. And honestly, before they even met Zoe, they were just minding their own business, watching TV all day.
Yeah.
And
staying away from people.
Who would have thought that vampires would be like your people?
I know, yeah.
And it's funny too, because a lot of times, since they're brothers, they're always fighting. Like one time she goes in without like knocking, and they're like on the floor, like punching each other in the face. The one punching gets distracted, so he gets flipped, and then now he's getting punched in the face, and like, what are you here? Wrong timing. Like, but then they get over it, they make up. A lot of the book, we get to see her character. We see the other side of this war between the vampires. Right. Dun dun dun. Read the book.
And then no. And then at the end, there's also like another little teaser for some more possible short stories. So I'm excited to see like what other characters are going to be introduced and how they kind of are fitted and interweaved into the story somehow. I'm excited to see where that goes.
So it's good that these guys that left the war were actually good brothers, just wanting to, protect each other and get away from all that. But it gives me the feeling too, like, what if Vladimir had like a second in command that also escaped, and it's starting off like another group somewhere else?
Oh, yeah, and then they just don't know about it. That'd be cool. That'd be interesting.
Because they can't be the only ones that escaped the war.
Like, it's like the calm after the storm, but also before another crazy storm. You never know.
Yep, never know. But check it out.
Oh, God, you and the check it out. Oh. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and make sure to check out The Neighbors by MC Ryder.